Welcome to the Reddit library. Today, we'll be looking at r/AskReddit, where the user Rubber Seatbelt asked the question, "What was your high school's biggest scandal?" Our football coach got shot in the locker room by a disgruntled parent. Did he die? No, he was in the hospital for at least a month and took almost a year off though. What happened to the parent? Sentenced to 20 years. I think he only served 7 or 8. Do you know why the parent shot him? A black kid was a starter over his son. His son would have never started anyway. He was terrible. Poorly kept secret that the cross-country coach was screwing a girl on the team. Even less well kept is that he had done the same with a girl 5 years earlier. The kicker is the first girl came back and became a teacher in the district. She and the cross-country coach are married now. Damn, my cross-country coach has a thing with a girl he used to coach. It only started after she had graduated college, which we all found weird, but he's very much not screwing girls on the team currently. A little weird sometimes, but not a disturbed and screwed up individual. My school was nicknamed Suicide High because kids kept killing themselves. They were investigating an apparent suicide cult. Edit, more info, small town in Canada. A small town in northern Canada? This might have been in my province. Then again, maybe not, because sadly, the suicide rates on the native reserves in northern Canada is astronomical. One of the local kids built a brand new soccer field, but had to remove the goalposts because kids kept trying to hang themselves from them, and a few were unfortunately successful. It's thankfully been a couple years since the last suicide in my town, but it has been pretty bad there for a while. The band teacher in junior high ran off with a 9th grader. They were in love. I can't believe I forgot that a science teacher ran off with a girl in my class when she turned 18. She wasn't done with school, but they were in love and got married. So I guess she just dropped out and he quit his job. I believe the teacher's daughter had just graduated a year ahead of my class too, and I couldn't imagine how she must have felt about everything. It was ridiculous. Edit. For reference, to all the comments below that have mentioned couples with maybe a 5 to 10 year age difference, this guy was old enough to have a daughter older than the girl he ran off with. He must have been mid-late 40s, if not knocking on 50's door, and that was not attractive. Short, balding, overweight. Funny guy and very intelligent, but by no means a looker. The girl was cute enough and ultra intelligent. Some of my classmates thought the two must have vibed at an intellectual level. A girl in our class married the art teacher shortly after school ended. At the time, I thought, that's terrible, but you know what? I see them on Facebook 15 years later and they're still one of the happiest couples on there. They're both very nice people and honestly probably meant for each other. Go figure. Oh, and he kept his job and still works there, and she's also an artist in the town. I'm an old guy, so my senior year of high school was when our school got class computers that connected to the internet. Dial-up. The installation happened over the winter break, and when we got back, suddenly our social studies teacher began showing videos in class, like every single day. For a while, we thought he was just burned out, until we noticed that during every video, he had his computer monitor turned awkwardly so that no one at the back of the class could see it. After a couple of months, the administration looked through the records for internet use and noticed he spent a lot more time online than everyone else. When they dug deeper to see what he was doing, they learned he was spending the entire days surfing porn sites during class. He was swiftly and unceremoniously replaced in the middle of the term. This man was ahead of his time. One of my teachers was, jokingly, accused of pedophilia on the school's Facebook page. Police actually got involved, but as I said, it was a prank, so the only one who got in trouble was the student who posted it. The teacher in question was actually really nice and didn't deserve it. Teenagers can be male boy parts sometimes. One of the health teachers at my high school was really hot and had a reputation for flirting with girls and putting them in front of class in his seating chart so he could interact with them more. I eventually had him for health, and it was all false. I think girls just wanted to boast about the hot teacher giving them attention. I was always worried that he'd end up getting in trouble because of those rumors, because he was genuinely a nice guy. We had one of those, but it turned out the dude was actually hooking up with students. He was a PE teacher, always had a TA that was some really cute, popular girl. Everyone always just assumed that they were flirting with him, but since he was married, nothing would happen. Yeah, not the case. He had pleaded no contest to 13 felonies related to unlawful sexual intercourse or oral copulation with a minor. The girl in question was one of his TAs. It's always the PE teacher. Teacher went to Thailand for 4 weeks. Came home married with a 20-year-old girl. He was 60. My neighbor did this, except it was straight after his wife died. Anyway, I got the funeral tomorrow, but my weekend is pretty wide open, and I was wondering... A ton of guys got in trouble for making a list ranking top 100 hottest girls. They had it in a Google Doc with comments. Welcome to your tape. Those guys on 13 Reasons Why were amateurs. Who uses paper in 2017? No paper trail. Football player got drunk at a party, came home, put a pot of water on the stove, and passed out. The house burned down, killing the player and also his handicapped sister and her handicapped friend, who were trapped on the second floor. Principal learns of the other students who were at the party and suspends them for underage drinking, which also forbade them from playing football in the last high school game of the season against the rival school. Football parents were pissed at the principal for the decision. Also, somehow, the dead football player was labeled a hero by some. Death really does vindicate you, even when you indirectly kill 2 handicapped people. It happened before I started going there, but one of the students obtained a copy of the school's master key, made 500 copies of it, and sent it to random students in the school's directory. The school threatened to call the FBI on the people who took part in the scheme if they didn't come forward, so they surrendered. The masterminds ended up getting off pretty easy. They weren't allowed to walk at graduation, and they had to pay a portion of the cost to replace every lock in the school, but they were never charged criminally, and nothing permanent ever happened to them. The people who received the keys weren't punished, though they did have to turn in the keys. The incident was actually featured in an episode of that old MTV show, High School Stories. My school wanted no part in the episode and refused to let the film crew on school property. Edit. Clarified a few things. My school had the elevator master key copied, and whenever the school turned it off to punish the students, I would just find the nearest student with the key and hitch a ride. Those handicapped kids are getting real uppity again. Turn off the elevator. My school had a week where every day there were 2 or more bomb threats called in. The first day was fun because we got to go home early. But as the week progressed, we just sat in the stadium in the heat and the FBI was called in. It quickly became very unfun. Edit. For all those asking, it was in Louisiana. Similar thing happened at my school too. Bomb threat called in from a different country. School admins came to every classroom and told students to leave school quietly without texting, calling, or posting anything until at least 3 o'clock, an hour after school got out. Happened again the following week. This time, they evacuated everyone just like a fire drill. Still let us leave early despite being in the middle of the day. Following week after that, except on a Thursday instead of Friday, the high school was performing To Kill a Mockingbird at the school play and did a special showing for the middle school since they were reading it. Bomb threat called on during the play. Everybody evacuated just like a fire drill. This time we went back to school. Anyways, we were all sick of leaving class for a dumb bomb threat. Called it Bomb Threat Friday. Turns out the person who set up the person to call the school wanted to get out of taking tests. He was arrested and put on house arrest as he was a minor. 2 years later, he's back at school. I guess he learned his lesson because he's normal and nice. Too long didn't read. Bomb Threat Friday is the thing at my school. Edit. Words. I went to a boarding school. One girl had smuggled her 20-year-old boyfriend into her room and got away with it for a week. He would sneak out to shower while everyone was in class, and she would take food to her room saying she had so much work to do. The jig was up when the administration discovered cigarette butts outside of her window. Edit. I went to work and came home to discover that this threat had exploded. To explain a couple of questions I found, yes, the cigarettes were the smoking gun. But when admin found them, they questioned both her and her roommate first. Yes, this girl smuggled her boyfriend into her dorm that she shared with another girl. Her roommate spilled the beans immediately, not wanting to get in any more trouble than she was sure she was already in. Though she was pardoned on account of her honesty. Over a week, she would take food to her room. Was she keeping him like a pet hamster? Not really a scandal, but a chick birthed a baby outside of C Gym. No one knew she was pregnant. This reminds me of a story from my high school. In our final year during English, We had to make a speech about something that had impacted us greatly. Our entire class did their speeches. The last girl came up and was incredibly nervous, which was highly unlike her. She told us the story of how her daughter had impacted her life. She told us how we had all carried on our lives while she was pregnant in grade 8, 5 years ago. I can't remember the specifics, but her speech was so moving about the difficulties she went through, like people in her life telling her how she'd ruined it. But she overcame it, was a good student, and how much she loved her daughter. Half of our class was in tears when she was done because there was so much raw emotion from this 18-year-old girl. When she finished, everybody was too numb to move until our teacher started clapping. He had tears in his eyes too, and he had told her how proud he was of her for everything she had accomplished, and then he gave her a hug. After that, her friend group of about 5 girls got up and hugged her too. They had all known her for 5 years, and hadn't said a word to anybody. Nobody except a select few teachers and her friends knew. I would hate to be the guy with the speech to follow that. Edit. Yes, I know she was last. This is a hypothetical. Why are some of y'all talking to me like I'm an idiot? It's a joke. What was your high school's biggest scandal? Let us know in the comments below, and you might get a chance to be featured in an upcoming video. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more videos from the library, and thank you for watching.